in this video, what I'm going to talk to you about is referrals. Now, so many businesses are just built on referrals and they do nothing else. And it works, okay? Like, it works for a reason. Some people call it word of mouth. Some people call it referrals. I like to go about it, as you can guess, in a little bit more of a systemized way, okay? What most people do is they go out, they try their best to deliver the service that they've promised their client, and they hope that they've done a good enough job for them to tell someone else, right? Which is not a very, it's not a very good way, right? Like, you're winging it, okay? You're hoping that they just tell their friend, okay? Which is not a good way to do it. But if you build a system around the way that you ask for referrals and get referrals, you can build your business in a really good and productive way, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to assume, okay, when we talk about referrals is that you're actually good at the thing that you deliver, okay? If you suck, right, get better. I say that tongue-in-cheek, right? But haha, very funny. But there's a serious point to that, okay? If the service that you are delivering is not good enough for someone to tell someone else that they know about you, right? If that person needs a service, you have negative word of mouth, okay? Which is other people will say, yeah, I have got that company, they're not that good, okay? And that spreads negative word of mouth. You could be a shade away from somebody like cancelling the service with you. And you're like, my clients don't like cancel, they're great, like, I do such a good job. But actually they're just like, I can't be bothered to find someone else. But if someone asks them, they're like, oh, you've got that company that have done that for you, like, what's their number? And they'll go like, oh, Jesus, like, don't use them, for God's sake. Like, I only use them still because I can't be bothered to find someone else, but they suck. Do yourself a favor, okay? If you don't know what your clients, or you're not prompting your clients to say good stuff about you to other people, you don't know what you don't know. Okay, so the first thing is, like, you have to deliver a good service. If you're not, you are just asking people to tell other people that you are mediocre, not that great, you don't set the world on fire, and you're never really going to be able to grow a great business. Okay, you can build a business, but it's not really going to be one that, like, definitely isn't one that is going to be built on referrals. Okay, so the first thing is, I'm going to assume, for the purpose of this video, that you're quite good at the thing that you do. Okay, that's the first thing. Now, I said that I like to go about referrals in a systemized way, okay? And we know what a system is, okay? System is input, process, okay? Output, okay? So, like, we know that we have our system. You should now know what this looks like, okay? And then we have our output, okay? So, input, output, right? That's a system. Now, this is our referral system. So, what do we think we do? Okay, we take our existing clients, okay, we do something, and what we should get out of that is new clients, okay, new, old, okay, not old, but you get the point, okay. It's the bit in the middle that is the important thing. Okay, so how do we go about actually running a referral system? The first thing we need to do is make sure our clients are happy. The easiest way to do this is to use client satisfaction scores, okay, client satisfaction scores, or, like, more traditionally, they might be called net promoter scores, okay? Client satisfaction surveys, whatever, or net promoter scores. Now, a net promoter score is essentially a question that you ask your clients to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, okay, 1 being fairly shit, and 10 being, 1 being you suck and I would never tell anybody about you, 10 being I would love to tell everybody in the world how great you are, how likely is it that you would recommend us, okay? Now, anything from an 8 or above, okay, is good. Good. Okay. Anything below that is not good. Okay. I've got red. Not good. Okay. That is not good. So what we're looking for is an 8, 9, or 10. Okay. But even an 8, okay, even an 8 is, like, questionable. I'm going to put that in brackets. A 9 and a 10 is a positive net promoter score. Okay. Now, you can have a net promoter score in a client satisfaction survey, okay? So what I would do is every sort of quarter, you could do it monthly, people get pissed off when you send them stuff every single month, okay? Every quarter, every 6 months, send them a client satisfaction score, a client satisfaction survey. Now, this doesn't really want to be any more than 5 questions long. The first question I would put is the net promoter score. You can also ask anything else that's important to your business, right? Do you feel that you're getting good communication from us? Have we been reliable? Are we delivering on the thing that we said we would in the first place? Whatever, okay? What I would try and do with all of the questions is make them all 1 to 10, okay? Because then it literally takes 10 seconds for the person to read the question, click, read, click, and it will take them literally 30 seconds to do your client satisfaction score. Okay. Now, if a client doesn't do that score, because you know what it's like, you send them a survey, they don't open it, they say, fuck off, I'm not doing your survey. Okay. Just give them a call and say, like, you've got 30 seconds, just want to ask you a couple of questions, and you're just going to be like 1 to 10. Okay. Get that, write it down on their behalf. Now, as always, what I'm going to tell you guys to do is track it. Okay. So take those scores and track them. Okay. Get a spreadsheet, clients' names, scores, happy days. And the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to identify any problems. So if you've got any like shit scores, you need to go and sort them out. Then you're going to look at like the 8s. I probably would leave the 8s and be like, okay, cool, that's a neutral, that's a fairly positive client. They're happy, but probably aren't going to shout about us. I'll be looking for the 9s and the 10s, ideally, okay, on the Net Promoter Score. So we've got that, okay. I now know that, so I've got 20 clients and 5 of them have said, yeah, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, you guys are awesome. Then you've got like, I don't know, 10 that are like 8s and 7s, and you've got a couple of like 5s, and you're like, shit, need to sort those out, okay? Now, the important thing is here, if you found the 5s, you can fix it. And they are not going to, if you can fix the problem, they're not going to go and work against you and give negative word of mouth, okay? That's a positive. If you've got the 8s, you're like, cool, fine, anything else we can do for you? Like, where are we lacking? But they're neutral, right? They're not going to shout about you, but they're not going to go and slag you off. But the 9s and the 10s, that's what we're looking for to get our referrals. Okay, so awesome. What we're then going to do is, because the 9s and the 10s are happy, we're then going to reach out to them. I would do this in a mega personalized way. If you can, if your business is something that you can physically go and see them, I would go and see them. If not, I would try and set up like a video call, as much like as personal as you can make this. Okay, so these 9s and these 10s, okay, we're going to try our very best to like get in front of them and see them, right? And what we're going to do is essentially ask them the questions. Okay, there's a couple of ways we can do this, but what I would say, okay, is, obviously don't go straight into this, but the question you need to ask is, who do you know that would also benefit from what we do for you? Okay, now I've circled that and made that a very important thing, right? Because if you ask, do you know someone else, they will go, not sure, no, not really. Okay, and you've just shit the bed because you've missed out on the opportunity. Okay, if you say, who do you know that would also benefit from this, right? That pushes them to give you a name, right? Now, if you're feeling brave, and what I would prefer you to do is, what 2 people do you know, or try and put that in a sentence that flows. But essentially, what you want to do is give you 2 people. Okay, so like, who do you know? Like, ideally, like, do you know 2 people? Well, not do you, I've just fell into my own trap there, but like, who do you know? Maybe 2 people that would also benefit from X service that we've just done? Or like, can you introduce me to someone that, what you're trying to avoid here is like yes, no questions, okay? Because it's easier when kind of put on the spot just to say no and just say like, oh no, sorry, I don't really know. And as much as they love you and love the service that you provide, they're going to go, no, I don't know anyone, okay? Because it gets them out of that quicker, right? They might like you, but they're still lazy, okay? They don't want to do any work for you. So you want to go like, well, who do you know that would also benefit from this thing, okay? That's the first thing that we're going to do. Now, the reason that I want you to ask for 2 people, right, is because, I've made a bit of a mess here. Hang on, let me just get some space. So the reason that we're going to go for 2 is because 1 client, right, will give you 2 people. And then those 2 people you're going to do a really good job for as well. And you're going to run the same system. Who do you know? What 2 people do you know who would also benefit from this? And those 2 people will give you another 2. Okay? So now you've got 4. Right, your 1 is turned to 4. And your 4, okay, can then turn to 8. You get the picture, okay? You see what I'm saying? So if you get 2 people now, obviously, well, hopefully you're doing such a good job, and this is why I said in the beginning, it's important that you actually do a good job, okay? But that 1 client, look how many that can turn into. It's not just 16, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 28 people, okay? That's 1 client turns into 28 clients. Now, if each of those clients pays you £1,000 a month, let's say, you're turning your £1,000, okay, into 28 grand just from that one client, okay? And that is why building a referral system is so important. Okay, so what I would be doing is when a client comes on board, you take them through a certain checklist between like month 1 to 3. Okay, you make sure they're mega happy. You go over and above. You bend over backwards. They say jump. You say how high. They are buzzing. Okay, get them to that point. Like right at the end of month 3, they've got some wins with you, or they've got the service. They're mega happy. You solved all their problems. You get them on this high. Okay, really, really lay it on thick. Okay, so they're mega. Like you get to month 3 and they're just like buzzing, and then you send them this. Okay, then we give them the net promoter score. Would you recommend us? Well, of course I'd recommend you. Ace. Right, okay, so who do you know? What 2 people do you know that I can speak to? Oh, well, you speak to Jeff and you speak to Tim. Okay, great. You sign Jeff and Tim. Okay, it's easier to sign Jeff and Tim because they're referred. Because the trust that client 1 has got with you transfers directly into client 2 and client 3. So the chances of you actually signing these 2 is significantly higher because you're working with client 1. Okay, so that's the first thing. Then you run exactly the same thing. You bring them on board, month 1 to 3, you over deliver. Okay, you get them to that point. What 2 people do you know? I know these 2 people, and you sign from there. Okay, now is it going to happen exactly like this? Probably not, right? But even if like half of it happened, that's still like whatever that is. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's 15 people. 15 people, I think. Well, at least what I've kept. That's still a lot. Okay, that's a massive return on just one client. Okay, even if you just do half of that, or you can just sign half of that, it's a massive, massive return. Okay, now there's lots of other little like tips and tricks and things that we can do. We can do like discount cards. We can do like referral incentives. So if you refer someone, you get £500 in cash. You can tailor that up or down. If you sell something high ticket, you can go it's £1,000 in cash if the person you refer signs up. Could be like a low ticket thing, it's just £100. You could do, if your mate signs up with me, I'll give them 20% off and I'll give you 20% back, right? It's a no-brainer. There's lots of little things that you can do, okay? Equally, like if you work in 2 different areas, so let's say you work with like domestic clients and you work with commercial, well, let's say you've got your commercial clients and then you've got like your domestic clients over here, right? Well, can you take some of those domestic clients and get them to refer you into the commercial side? Okay, where do you work? Where does your husband work? Where do you spend time to do X, Y, and Z, right? Equally, commercial, like if you work for like a company and they've got like an office, the people within that, like, do you want me to come and do this thing for your house, right? If you do power washing of driveways, can you ask your domestic clients, well, where do you work? Can I come and do like the car park at where you work or whatever? If you work with commercial clients, you could go in there with leaflets and go like, because you work at this company, you get X amount off from your domestic thing, okay? And you can pull them in there. That's not really like a referral system, but it's a way that you can integrate between the 2, okay? Like you can get your domestic clients to refer you into like where they work, go and do it there. Equally, like it's not really a referral the other way around, but kind of is. Either way, it's a way to bring in more clients, okay? So the main thing, like I say, system, right? Input in to a system, which is kind of this, okay? Over deliver, and then do the client satisfaction score. If they don't fill out the client satisfaction survey, you give them a call, you run through it. You obviously identify like the 1 to 7s, okay? And if they're 1 to 7, they're upset. You need to fix that straight away. If they're an 8, like they're good, like they're all right, but it's the 9s and the 10s that you really want to then push on and build this into, okay? So if you haven't got that already, go and build it, okay? If you are someone, and this is a lot of people, if you are someone who says, we get good word of mouth and my business grows, great, but you are just winging it. You have no system in place. You can't control that, and if you can't control it, who knows, could dry up tomorrow, okay? So put a system in place. Put something in place that schedules you to reach out to your existing clients, over deliver for them, get the net promoter score, identify who it is that you can actually like get the referral from, and then you can sort of build this, okay? This is the important bit here, okay? Like the client satisfaction and the net promoter score is the important bit, because if you work with John and John thinks you're a 4 out of 10, right? and you say, John, will you refer me? John's going to get pretty shitty with you pretty quickly. He's going to say, no, you've done an absolute diabolical job the last 3 months. I'm really pissed off. I'd actually like to cancel my contract, right? So it's this bit that's important. If you find out where they're at and John says, I'm a 4, you can go, John, really sorry, I didn't realize that we were dropping the ball like that. Let's get this sorted for you, okay? And actually, the clients who come aboard and just love you, right? They're great. We'll take them all day long. But the clients that you take from like a 4 to a 9, they're the clients that will really shout about you. Okay, so it's important from both directions to bring those people up and also push the people who are, singing your praises to get out there and refer you. Okay, so that is everything for this video. That is referrals.